Hello. So I'm up here in beautiful Cairns, and while everybody else has gone to the pool, I thought I would try and make my video really quickly that I have been dying to do for the last few weeks. It's about kids and domestic violence. So I wanted to share some things that really helped my children, and also opening up the relationship between myself and my children. I think that as we're going through our relationship issues and, domestic violence, we really try hard to hide it from our kids, because we're trying to shield them, and we're trying to protect them. But the thing is that kids know a lot more than what you realize. I certainly have realized that my kids heard and felt a lot more than I thought they did. And now that my kids are older and we can talk openly and honestly about, certain events, I realized that they knew more than what I thought I was able to hide from them, and they actually recalled information that I had forgotten myself. So it's really important to realize that they do know. You know your child best. So please talk to them at an age appropriate level. Like I said, mine are a bit older now, adults, almost adults. So the conversation is obviously different than if you were talking to a 6, 7, or 8-year-old, for instance. So keep it age appropriate. But what I've found to be the most important thing is my children were conditioned not to talk. They have grown up with me saying to them, don't tell them about, when you go to school, you don't need to let them know that Dad was really angry, or that Dad said this, or Dad did that. It's okay, that school doesn't need to know about it. Nobody else needs to know. And they have been conditioned not to talk about their problems and their feelings and their emotions and when they're scared. So a big part of me helping my children heal was unconditioning them to talk. So I've had to be really, really quite gently persuasive in letting them know that it is okay to talk, and in actual fact, I want them to talk about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be with me. It can be with a school counsellor, with other trusted adult friends. I know my daughter, told me at one point last year that she wanted to be able to talk to her dance teacher a little bit more, if that was okay with me, and I said absolutely. If she trusted her dance teacher enough to be able to open up a little bit, then that is absolutely fine with me. So finding those trusted adults, the people around you, and maybe give them a heads up first if your child shows interest in wanting to just maybe be a bit open, or, if your friend's mum comes to you, if their friend's mum comes to you and says, oh, by the way, such and such said or mentioned, just give them a little gentle heads up on what it might be about, but definitely encourage them to talk, because they have been conditioned to keep quiet, or not, to not speak about that stuff. It's okay to talk. It's actually very, very beneficial to talk about it. Counselling, as I said, don't be afraid of utilising counselling, psychologists or even psychiatrists if the trauma is complex, or if you feel like the trauma and emotional distress is heading down a dangerous path. It can do. It does play on kids' minds. They experience a whole gamut of emotions with, not being able to protect mum and the fear they felt, or not, feeling guilty for not jumping in and helping out or saying something or doing something. So don't be afraid of accessing, further professional help if that's the way you feel it will benefit your children. It absolutely will. Another thing is, as much as we don't like our exes and probably are still scared of them, no put downs in front of your children. That's actually really confusing to children, because you are half of your child and their father is half of them as well. So to put down their father, you are putting down half of who they are, half of who their DNA is. At the end of the day, children on a very basic level love both their parents, regardless of, who's done what or any neglect or abuse they've experienced. They do love their parents, and it's actually very confusing, and it's not fair to have a child side with one parent over the other. This goes both ways, for mothers, against fathers, or fathers against mothers. So just be really careful about what you're saying about your ex. Utilize your own counselling and your own best friend therapy for talking about your ex, not in front of your children and not with your children. As your children get older and they want to discuss their father or your ex or mother, if it is a vice versa domestic violence relationship, then by all means you can engage in that, but just try to stay really neutral with it. I know that when Father's Day comes around, my children usually want to talk about, you know, whether they do want to buy him something or whether they don't want to buy him something, or that he's not in their lives, or, you know, things like that. So I try to stay really neutral. At first I was giving my children money for the Father's Day stall until they made the decision not to. Another thing is, which I love for myself, is meditation and mindfulness. So teaching your children it's okay to feel emotions. It's okay, it's absolutely okay to feel angry, to feel scared, to feel nervous, to feel those emotions. It's how we self-regulate them and what we do with those emotions that matters the most. So I teach my children that it is okay to be angry. It is not okay to hurt somebody because you feel angry. So teaching them how to ground themselves, breathe, deep breaths in and out, listening to what's around them, closing their eyes, just trying to ground themselves, be mindful of what's around them, and meditate, I find really helpful for children. It's something they can understand. It's something that they can practice on their own. If they feel their emotions rising, they can actually stand still and close their eyes, or, keep their eyes open and do deep breaths. And nobody has to know. It's something that they can do for themselves and learn to self-regulate those emotions. It is something that will benefit them as they head into adulthood. I love meditation and mindfulness. I find it really effective. I'm just going to check my list for anything else. No, that was pretty much, just be honest at age-appropriate levels and listen. Children will want to talk about stuff. I have found that when my children have wanted to talk about an event or a fight or an argument that they remember, sometimes I actually have not much recollection of it. And I feel like that's our mind that protects us by hiding some of the stuff away. But it's really important to acknowledge how they felt in it and what they feel had come out of it. My children, I actually felt like they experienced things on a lower level than what I did because it happened to me. But as they've gotten older and the way they speak about some events, I realised that it affected them just as much. They feel a whole range of emotions with it. So it's very important to listen. And then if you don't feel like you can engage in that with them, it might trigger you. That's fine. But please direct them onto school counselling. Is free and accessible. You can often find counsellors within community mental health or community health centres. There may be a youth mental health team in your area. Please access that through your GP. There's nothing wrong with it. But I found a huge one was basically unconditioning my kids to be able to talk, to really let them know that it is okay to talk about their feelings and emotions and where they want to go from here, or what they want to do, how they want to proceed, how they want to access further help. They do need to be involved in the decision making, but it is really important to get their feelings for it too. So hopefully that's helped a little bit. Everybody's at the pool here at the moment, and I'm sure they'll be back soon, but this is a video I've really wanted to do. So if you want to ask any questions, either privately or on the video, feel free. As I have said several times, my children are a little bit older now, so it does make talking a little bit easier. I've heard it from their point of view. I've heard it from, their place. So any questions, any further information you want, just let me know.